just been informed 3 months. I thought it was a month, I swear to you. But I wanted to get a catch up because for teaching about this for so long, teaching about grief and loss in the parents, but also the grief and loss in the individual on the spectrum. Not saying that you're going through that, but I always wondered, and I know you're just one person. So it's been 3 months since you have received a
Mhm.
diagnosis and are on the
Mhm.
fetal alcohol spectrum. Barb Clark, like, what's it been like now that the dust is settled a bit?
Yeah, 3 months later, I'm still feeling really good about it. Like, I haven't, I don't know if I'm ever gonna hit a grief and loss phase with this diagnosis. I think part of the reason why is that I've known for so many years, I think years ago when I started to suspect it and realize that I was probably on the spectrum, I probably went through some of those phases back.
What has anything been notable in terms of the people around you?
Yes, I would say something like I just had a surgery 4 weeks ago, and my, OBGYN before in the pre-op, I was telling her that I was diagnosed on because she and I've had this doctor, this OBGYN for over 30 years, probably 35
Whoa.
years, and so she's been with me through the journey with my kids even. And like every year for many years, when I was first learning about FASD, I would give her a book. I gave her Damaged Angels by Bonnie Buxton. I gave her Trying Differently rather,
Yeah.
each year I would give her a different book. And she would call me. She's like a really awesome top doctor in Minneapolis. You can't even get into her anymore. She would call me up like a month later and be like, "That book blew my mind. Like, I didn't
So
know
good.
this." And so, anyways, I told her in the pre-operating room before my surgery, I was telling, and she was like, she didn't believe me. She was like, "No," so then I was having to explain the spectrum because that's what people just don't understand is what a vast spectrum this
Okay.
is.
Yeah, you're right, dude. Okay,
And
let me ask this then.
Mhm.
What is a bad day on the spectrum for you? When it's more brain than like motivation, kind of.
So yeah, a bad day for me is having to sit through a bunch of meetings. And a bad day for me when I was younger was having to sit through an entire school day. Like, or if I have to go to an all-day training, it is impossible for me to actually pay attention, even if it's an engaging top. Well, some of a more engaging topic, it might work, but your regular kind of all-day trainings are torturous
Oh,
for
in
me.
which way, Doc? Is it like just sitting still? Is it like the focus on trying to listen to what they're saying? Take me through some of that.
Mhm. It's mostly the focusing on what they're saying. Sitting still is hard for me. Like right now, and whenever I do all of our coaching calls, my legs are
Yeah.
bouncing. You know, I've got bouncy legs all the time, and that's just I've had that forever. I remember as a kid, my parents trying to like put their hands on my legs, and I was like,
So
"What's the deal? Just let
that's
it
but you're
bounce."
regulating yourself, right? Because you gotta
Hmm.
sit still because if you're trying
Yeah.
to coach people, which you're amazing at, so that would you be
Hmm.
like, would you kind of be like that, right? So yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
okay.
And it's every place I've ever worked in my professional jobs. I worked in a couple of school districts and some different nonprofits, and I have never hidden the fact that I hate meetings and I struggle with sitting through meetings. And in particular, and this is what's funny, like even at my full-time job now, what I will sometimes say is I don't hate meetings. I especially just hate meetings that aren't well
Yeah,
run. So
okay,
like
that's fair.
the meeting like if it's an efficient, well-run meeting, I can focus and pay attention. But when it starts going off the rails and we're off topic and then my brain
Yeah,
just
because
starts
you're into
going
that
all.
too. And how do I know?
Mhm,
Because I've also
mhm.
been I've been with you or where we've had both, right? But it is
Yes,
true.
yes,
Like if it's
yes.
off the rails, then there she goes. Because we also generally like
But,
the people we work with too.
mhm,
So we
mhm.
have a good chuckle
Oh
and
yeah.
if
Yep.
anyone knows us and the coaches, we're always having a good yuck. But it's true. When you
Yep.
really need to though
Mhm,
focus on issues,
mhm.
and focus on things. What is a perfect training then for you to be in attendance? Does that like a body break, a movement break? Like what would
Well, that's the funny thing too. So for me, if it's a really engaging topic and an engaging trainer, like I could sit through your training all day and I'd be
Oh
fine,
yeah, yeah,
right? Like
Barb, I'll take it.
I'm just
Okay,
saying,
okay,
like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I've
because I
said
run
that.
around, yeah.
I mean, I say that at Families Rising where I work too. Like sometimes they'll be like, we don't want to have, we don't want to have at our conference, we don't want to have 90-minute workshops because they're too long. And I'm like, no, 90-minute workshops are really good to have some of those slots in a conference because when you have a topic that's meaty and juicy, you need that
Yeah,
much time. And if it's a good presenter, people can sit
agreed,
easily through
agreed,
90
yeah. You know
minutes.
who did good too?
And
Michael in
so,
Toronto.
yeah, yeah,
Everyone was like, yeah, so, but yeah,
yeah.
no problem. Or like a good
Yep.
movie or
Yep.
something.
Yep. And so like for me, to be honest though, I also have enough in me that I don't like corny shit. And so if we're gonna sit and like do too many, like stop and have a break and do
Yeah, yeah,
calisthenics and
yeah.
like
Hug and love
sit
your
and do
neighbor.
and like, oh, I want to vomit and put my finger down my throat during some of these goofy activities. So that's what's funny too, is a lot, and that's what, in the training world, best practices when you're, in person in particular, is you're supposed to be doing stopping and having breaks and having more interaction and stop, and getting people involved. I don't like those activities for some reason. And I've really found that the majority of participants don't really like getting into doing role plays or the small group breakouts and some of that stuff, even though that's best practice. And now, if it is a boring kind of crappy training, then okay, let's do that. But really, like when I do all day trainings, and I don't do a ton of small group breakouts and things like that, and people
Yeah,
love
keep it
it
rolling.
because it's rolling and powerful.
Your training, or is it going to change now? Like, or is it just now that you have the diagnosis, or is it going
Mhm.
to? Are you worried about people not taking you serious, buddy? Like, because they like
You
once you
know,
speak, awesome. You know what I mean? But I just wonder.
mhm,
This is me just wondering.
mhm. Yeah, no, I'm not worried about that. I honestly, the bigger thing that I've experienced are people questioning, like, is this an actually legit diagnosis? This doesn't make sense. I've had
Well,
more of
fair,
that.
fair, because the way you
Hmm.
present.
Hmm.
Okay, that's true, and you're
Yeah,
also in
and
your wheelhouse
yep.
talking about. Yeah,
Hmm.
like yeah, you because we talked about this in the earlier in when you first you take care of my schedule like in the group
Hmm.
schedule like for the training not
Yep.
and that time is supposed to be like an issue but you need that now that is
Yep.
for me the most part that makes sense the needing the
Hmm.
6 months down the road holy shit this chick's efficient but you need it so now I'm like oh of course well then
Hmm.
yeah let's
Hmm.
get it done
Yeah.
not that
Yeah.
you feel me but now I know
No,
why
I
it's
feel you.
such a big deal to you
Yeah.
but it's also, what do you think about, but the people closest to you, no real change? It's like, Barb. I just wonder how it comes up in your general day-to-day life, or it doesn't, or.
Oh no, it comes up. It comes up. I was just saying it last night to a group, to my friend. I'm staying with my friend here in Minnesota and her 19-year-old daughter and a bunch of them. I was giving her and her friends a ride, and I was talking about it there.
Yeah.
We were talking a lot about autism and different stuff. And so, no, I mean, I'm not hiding this at all. I want people to know because I want people to understand how vast the spectrum is.
Okay. Do you think a diagnosis earlier would have changed that for you or better improved outcomes? But it almost looks like it was part of your growth as a character.
Yeah, I think in particular, it really might have helped me in college, to do some more accommodations and to like, it was kind of funny because I was self-aware. Like I was like, wait, I can't be an English teacher. I can't sit still. I couldn't sit in a classroom, right? So I realized that I switched, and I kept switching my major and trying, so I think had I known earlier and been more
Mm.
aware of what was going on, I could have done things differently and done more accommodations, just naturally in the last 10 probably plus years, I've started to, just do different accommodations for myself, just knowing, oh, I suck at
Can,
this. And so this is
can
something I
that
need.
get construed as a boundary too? Do you see? So
Yeah.
like we talk about boundaries,
Hmm.
but it's almost
Hmm.
like an accommodation for yourself, like a self
Hmm.
strategy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, like that's one of my boundaries I've had to set too is like I had started a while ago being really intentional of not scheduling more than 4 meetings in one day because I know that's going to put my brain over the edge.
But being in four cities doesn't, or does it?
Nope.
See, like,
No,
how
Four Cities doesn't,
because I
but that's not all in the
literally
same
because
day.
literally, it's not weird for me to say,
Yeah.
like, "Where is Barb?" And I don't mean that, but, like, "Where are you?" Yeah.
No, totally, you're right. I'm
Yeah.
all over the place, and I can go, like there was like in the spring, there was a time where I went from 3 different states, like I did
Yes.
3
Yeah,
different
yeah,
trainings
yeah.
in 3 different straight states in like 11 days. And that no, that fuels my soul. So if I can train all day, I am the happiest person in the world, but sitting in a boring meeting all day
Okay, so
does not fill my soul.
so what do we say to parents then who are, like, thinking, "Okay, but my kid is bright," like, would you, wait and see or, like, just tell me about that. Like, I don't
Well, I even say this on our coaching calls a lot with our caregivers. I talk about like, I get it why these kids don't want to go to
Yes.
school. Like, I get it why they're skipping class. We had this happen a couple of months ago. This one caregiver, the kid had skipped 3 classes that day, and the deal was they could use the car if they didn't skip classes. And I get it. Like when you feel like a fish out of water, when you're not comprehending the material, the difference I had was I wasn't comprehending a lot of the math
You
and
mentioned
science,
that.
and I was
That's was your blood. Yeah, yeah.
feeling dumb as a rock in math and science. Now I was good in English,
Yeah.
and so, but I also had decent social
Yeah,
skills.
yeah,
And
you
so
have some amazing soft
Mhm.
skills.
So when I look at our kids that have the same struggles cognitively, but then you also add in the layer of their social skills not being, where they should be and things like that, I would have been skipping school and refusing to go if I didn't at least enjoy my friends and have good
Yeah, who
friendships.
wants to go to a nightmare factory? I get yelled at, not
Nobody.
sure what's going on, right? Yeah,
Feeling
I
dumb.
100% agree.
Mhm,
This has been
mhm,
awesome though. It's been an interesting, like,
mhm,
journey. What
mhm.
has been in the 3 months the biggest benefit of receiving the diagnosis for you personally?
Well, for me personally, I've had multiple caregivers say to me, this actually is giving me hope. And because a lot of times our caregivers get into that place of just dreading the future, which is understandable. But, even if we're in a hard moment and in a crisis right now, there's always hope. And so, like, trying to kind of bring the hope in. And that's one of the biggest reasons, honestly, why I finally sought out the diagnosis was to help our caregivers see. And again, I'm not saying, some of the families that we're dealing with, their kids are struggling way more than I was at that age. I get it. It's not apples to apples, it's different. Yeah, it's all about hope for me.
Can you tell me a little bit? Like, I don't know how old your mom was when she passed, so these could be silly
Mhm.
questions. How did she manage you, like, when you maybe became dysregulated, or like how did
Mhm.
you, like, looking
Yep.
back, do you see maybe things she did or
She passed 20 years ago, so she was 74 when she passed. But the thing is, I didn't have huge behaviors. I didn't get super dysregulated. Now, the funny thing though is I do remember confabulating way past the age where confabulation usually
yeah,
stops.
yeah.
And so, because like I even remember that and this is the funny thing too. Since the diagnosis, all of a sudden, like I'll have this memory and I'll be like, oh wow, that's FASD. Like I remember in elementary school, I think I was in third grade or fourth grade. I remember telling this group of kids that I saw somebody. That I had been in Minneapolis at the IDS Center at the time. That was the tallest skyscraper in downtown Minneapolis, and I said I saw a man jump off of the roof or the top floor or something like that and
You're like,
die.
what?
I didn't see that. And I remember one of the kids being like, what are you talking about? You can't do that from the IDS tower. And I was like, what? And I sat there and I was trying to like make my case. But
Yeah.
like that's beyond the age of when you
Yes,
confabulate,
because
right?
Olivia's right there right now. But Olivia's is a little bit cute because it's as soon as you tell her a story. Oh, can I? She
Hmm.
said, "Can I tell you something, Mom? Can I tell you something?
Hmm.
My friend, my
Hmm.
bestie." And I was like, but you could kind of see that, but
Yes.
the
Hmm.
the developmental expectations are appropriate right now for that. But if once they get older
Right.
and do that, oh my gosh, we could talk for
Right.
18 hours straight. You know that about this.
Hmm.
Like, what is next for you, dude? I know you're awesome training, but like, have you plan to advocate further on the spectrum side, or what, or just keep trucking and that's part
Yeah.
of your messaging?
Oh, no, absolutely. My main passion in life, just like you, is FASD and trying to promote more awareness, knowledge,
Relief
supports,
for
and
parents.
understanding for. Mhm. And so, I'm passionate about helping caregivers do better. I'm really passionate about trying to help professionals better understand this brain injury so that they can better support our kids and families and adults. Yeah, so that's what's in it for me. I'm actually going to be here soon leaving my full-time job that I have and just kind of branching out and just focusing on FASD training and support
Cool.
for professionals.
Cool. And you work with us. You're awesome with
Yep.
us. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think like if you, because I'm not an employer, you work with, right? Like I contract you to help me do the coaching. You are
Mhm.
excellent at knowing the system way beyond what I could even talk about, right? So that's kind of how we
Yeah.
work, well together,
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
we didn't even
totally.
know it. And but that
No.
is why.
No, I think we have the coolest balance in our coaches for our coaching program, you know?
Yes, those folks are lucky. We are lucky to have those folks. We were
Mhm.
going to tell people all about it, when the time is
Yep.
right, we're going to be making note because you've been
Mhm.
with me on the journey for 4 or 5 years now.
Yep,
Yeah,
4
four
years.
years with
Mhm.
this, and we're not stopping, folks. The diagnosis
Mhm.
just gives you like a more sturdy boom. Like, hey, this is how they could feel. Like that's to plant and anchor yourself in both of that. That just makes you more of a lethal weapon.
Yeah.
Are you
Oh,
gonna
there
look?
you go.
You could find Barb. Barb, what is the best place? Like I know you're hanging out on Facebook a lot. Is that the
Yeah.
best place if someone was like, I want to, you know,
Well, I actually just last week drafted a website,
o- okay,
barbclarkfasd.com.
Barb Clark, FASD. I know for legit, legit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
you can totally do your own thing, and I can't wait to see what happens because I'm going to be a part of it, and I love it. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we
okay,
keep
we talk
partnering and
about hope.
doing
Here's
good.
I'm gonna end it here.
All right.
Someone's looking at you, parents listening or watching this, and going, "There's no way," right? Like, what would you say to that person?
Oh, I would just say, even just looking at my daughter, who is a really complex, hard, challenging, awesome young woman, is thriving right now. Actually, she turns 26 next week, and she is doing really well. And the biggest reason for that is because she has the right supports around her. And so there's going to be a lot of hard times, right? But you get through those, and you just keep trucking along, and eventually things start to get a bit easier every year. Akila is doing great right now. I feel like it's so funny. I'm 56 and I actually feel like I'm in the prime of my life right now. Like
Okay,
I'm
yes,
feeling good
sure.
physically. I've had some surgeries that are helping because I've got a lot of medical complexities, which I know enough that are from my FASD,
Mm,
you
but
know?
you're feeling it.
And so I just had my 17th surgery, right? That's number 17 for
Totally.
me.
Yeah, that's
And
pro
so,
wrestler numbers there, Barb.
yeah, right? But I feel good, and I feel like I'm at this place in life where I actually understand my brain the best I ever have. And this is what
Yeah,
we
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about a lot with our families, right, Jeff, about how important the diagnosis is. We know sometimes we can't get it, but it's important. It's also important to help the young person, no matter what their age is, to understand their diagnosis and their brain so they can better self advocate.
Barb, you're the best. You're the best.